Whether you're a morning person or a bedtime procrastinator, everyone deserves a mattress that works for their style. And you'll find the best mattress for you at Ashley. The new Temper-Adapt collection at Ashley brings you one-of-a-kind body-conforming technology, making every sleep tailored to be your best. The collection also features cool-to-the-touch covers and motion absorption to help minimize sleep disruptions from partners, pets, or kids. Shop the all-new Temper-Adapt collection at Ashley, in-store or online at ashley.com. Ashley, for the love of home.
You're listening to a Mint podcast brought to you by HT Smartcast.
When a group of like-minded people or people having a common goal, they come together to form an association, they have to get it registered in some form. It has to have a legal structure. Now, what are examples of such associations? For example, if people come together to promote art and culture, to promote music, sports, healthcare, we have Delhi Gymkhana Club, then Soho House in Mumbai, we have Quorum Club. Now there are a lot of temple trust also, they also have a legal structure to it. All these associations have some funds with them and they have to deploy it for the best interest of members who are associated with the association. Now where do they deploy these funds? Where do they invest? Can they invest beyond fixed deposits or not? We have observed that usually these associations invest in fixed deposits, but there are other avenues available. I have with me Pritika Kumar. She is co-founder at No Grey. It's a will-making platform. It's a Gurgaon-based will-making platform company.
Welcome to Why Not Mint Money, a personal finance podcast where we help you understand basic money concepts and share strategies for you to build your wealth. So let's get started with your money journey.
Welcome, Pritika.
Thank you, Aparajita.
Yes, glad to have you here, Pritika. And I really hope that we can simplify this topic. It's a very important topic and less discussed.
Yeah.
So let's just get straight to it.
I will try my best, yeah.
So first of all, let's discuss legal structures that these associations can have. What are some types of structures?
Yeah. So typically when people come together, they come together for a purpose. Right. And depending on the purpose, the structure of the organization needs to be decided. Is your purpose purely profit-oriented or is your purpose more like charity-driven, public service-driven? Right. So if you are a group of people who are driven by profit motives, then you would go for some of the profit structures that are available, like a company or an LLP. But if you are a group of people who's interested in impact, it's more purpose-driven, more community-driven, then you would go for either a society or you would establish a public charitable trust or you would establish a Section 8 company, which is a non-profit company. So these are some of the structures that are available for more public-driven causes.
Yeah, so let's stick to public-driven causes.
Yeah,
and I believe for that we have three structures.
That's
either
right.
Societies or Section 8 company or trusts.
That's right. A public charitable trust. Because there are two kinds of trusts that you can form. One is a public charitable trust, the other is a private trust. Typically a private trust would be, you would see these funds run on the basis of a private trust document.
Yes, family offices.
Family offices. A living trust is basically made under the Private Trust Act.
Right. Families will have their, for succession planning.
Correct. For succession planning. Absolutely. That's where we use like the Private Trust Act to create a private trust. Whereas if you are a non-profit organization, Indian or global, and you want to set up non-profit, operations in India, then you would go and establish a public charitable trust.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about public charitable trust first.
Sure.
So what happens in that case?
In India, Aparajita, we don't have a central public charitable trust act. A few of our states have state-specific legislations, and the most commonly used one is the Maharashtra Trust Act.
Right.
And we also have one in Orissa, and we also have one in Bihar and Madhya Pradesh.
Okay.
And typically the formation of trusts in these jurisdictions is regulated by these acts.
Okay, specific state acts.
Specific state acts. But then if you are operating purely out of Delhi, or out of a state, say Jammu and Kashmir or Tamil Nadu, in that case your Maharashtra Act will not apply and the Orissa Act will not apply. But your trust deed, then you can draft however you want to draft it, and then it will be more purpose driven.
All right. So in those states, trust deed has to follow any broader law?
So the broader law that one, like as someone who's drafting a public charitable trust, one will lean on and take inspiration from the Maharashtra Act and also the trust deed. Like the Private Trust Act,
right?
The Indian Trust Act,
1882.
So
I think.
and then you will also look at some other examples that are available, and you will bring it together, keeping in mind the purpose of the organization coming together.
All right. So let's talk about Maharashtra Public Charitable Trust Act. This is how it is called, the technical term?
Maharashtra. Maharashtra Public Charitable Trust Act.
All right. So in that, what are some investment avenues allowed?
So what that act really says is that if you have funds which are not being immediately used towards your purpose, you as a trust have to mandatorily put that money into, say, a scheduled bank.
Okay.
And otherwise, you can also invest in certain specified securities. But the securities that have been defined under the Act are mostly government securities.
Okay.
And if you want to invest in any other kind of securities, then you have to go to the Charity Commissioner and take permission from the Charity Commissioner.
Okay, so in case of Maharashtra, so for example, any public trust is formed, then in their trust deed, either they will have to specifically mention that these are government securities or these are some
No, they don't
banks
have to mention anything. So the Act says that notwithstanding anything contained in the trust deed.
Okay.
So you have to invest that money if it is sitting, if it is not in use and is not going to be in use for a long time. So if your purpose is such that doesn't need that money immediately, the idea really is to not let that money just sit and to allow for that money to grow.
Okay, so either they can do it with corporate, either they can do it
deposit it. So you make a deposit in a scheduled bank or make a deposit in a recognized cooperative bank. There are certain kind of banks that have been defined in the Act.
Okay.
So you are required to make a deposit in those banks, and you can invest in certain kind of public securities.
All right.
Those public securities are defined in the Act, but those the ones that are defined are very limited. So there are like government securities that you can invest in, and if you want to invest in any other kind of security, if as trustees you feel that there could be better use of the money that you have and it can grow, and when it grows you can make better use of it by applying it towards the purpose, then you can go to the Charity Commissioner and you can seek permission from the Charity Commissioner.
So can they invest in mutual funds or listed companies?
So there is no restriction on it. Okay. But they will have to go to the Charity Commissioner and seek permission from the Charity Commissioner.
And I believe there are some approved mutual fund schemes where Maharashtra Charitable Trusts can
there have been people who have been talking about it. They may have access to some internal documents, but in my experience, I haven't yet come across a notification that's been issued by the Charity Commissioner, which pre-approves investments in some kind of mutual funds. But I don't see the problem because there's an enabling provision in the Act. All that one needs to do is one just needs to approach the Charity Commissioner.
Yeah, and that is where I believe the problem comes. Either people are not aware that they can very well do it.
Yeah.
Approaching Charity Commissioner and getting approval for investments in different kinds of products, or Charity Commissioner, are they welcoming, are they forthcoming when it comes to it, or is just that people are unaware and they haven't even approached?
Well, I would say it's a mix of all of these things, and I would like to believe that the Charity Commissioners would be open to such submissions. However, of course, they will look into the feasibility aspect, the safety aspect of keeping that money safe. And if one is to make a strong case for making a particular investment, and if it is aligned with the purpose of the trust and will help the larger beneficiaries, then I don't see any reason for the Charity Commissioner to refuse it. And have people been doing it? Not in my awareness. I haven't seen this practice. Why have people not done it? I think what happens is that we all get so used to how things are being practiced that we never really go and explore these options. We are all victims of practices,
Right.
sometimes old and sometimes new. So I think this is definitely worth exploring and visiting
The idea
Charity
is that
Commissioner for.
these funds can very well be deployed in mutual funds, be it debt or equities. Just that you have to go out and explore, and you may have to get approval from Charity Commissioner. This is it.
You
this
will
allowed.
have to get the approval from in Maharashtra.
In Maharashtra.
What's interesting is that the other states don't have a public charitable
so Tamil
trust
Nadu you
act.
mentioned, Delhi you
So
mentioned.
the inference of that would really be, that
Without
actually you
approval.
can invest.
Exactly. If
But that will have to be aligned with the purpose, and there again the
Correct.
trustees may sort of worry about making these investments because they have duties as trustees.
right.
And if some wrong investment is made, then it could somehow come upon them personally.
But I believe fixed deposits, because as we have seen in our families also, that our parents, they would keep money in fixed deposits.
Correct.
That is how things have been. But we
Correct.
have observed change in last few years, and people have started investing in mutual funds or in stock market.
Correct.
So similarly, in this case, I feel it's just lack of awareness, because in fixed deposits, you get that interest income is coming every year.
Yeah.
And in case of public trust, they have to spend 85% of their income in a year. So I was
Right.
speaking to someone, and this is what he explained, that 85% income has to be spent. But if you keep that amount in mutual funds, then those are unrealized gains. You are getting that interest every year, but you haven't booked it.
Yeah.
If you haven't booked it, then you don't have to spend it. 85% rule will not apply there,
Yeah.
and your money will grow. So
Yeah.
if you have that kind of money with you, which you are not going to use in immediate future,
Correct.
then why not? Why not are you investing in debt mutual fund? Makes more sense from returns point of view, from
Yes,
taxation point of
yes.
view. So this is
Definitely something worth exploring.
Yeah.
And increasing your corpus for better use.
Correct.
Having said that, one will have to carefully consider the terms and
Purpose,
conditions of each of these securities that one explores an investment in. And that is something that the trustees will have to be careful about and mindful about.
Correct. And in case of private trusts, you mentioned that they have a lot of avenues there, and it's the profit.
So there are again
motive,
specified securities for a private trust under the Indian Trust Act, and there is a long list that's been notified by the government. So a private trust can actually invest in listed or to be listed securities.
Also, right.
There are some more conditions. It's worth looking at that notification when finally someone decides to make that investment.
Right.
One can invest in government securities, in infrastructure,
Bonds,
debt instruments, also
Index
shares of
funds,
of a company that's listed,
Right.
with a certain kind of market capitalization. So,
Right.
yeah.
What happens in case of societies? So you only told me that temple trusts, sometimes they get registered as societies.
Correct.
They don't always get registered as charitable trusts. They could very well have a legal structure of a society.
Correct.
So when it comes to societies, where can they invest?
So then again, for societies, in my opinion, what applies to a trust would also extend to a society.
Okay.
So what a private trust can do, the securities that a private trust can invest in, even a society can invest in.
Right. So that's Section 20 of
That
Indian
Section
Trust.
20 will extend. Yeah.
All right. And here I would like to highlight that there is this 2017 gadget notification, government notification, where they have listed very clearly, or you mentioned infrastructure bonds and index funds and listed
Mutual
companies.
funds,
It's
certain
there.
kinds, it's all there.
And so if you need that document, I have with me, just comment in the video below and I can share it with you. I'll share my email ID also, so I'm open to share those documents with you guys. And now we have discussed societies. Now coming to Section 8 companies.
Yeah.
What happens in those cases?
So even there is no restriction on a Section 8 company in terms of the investments that it can make, actually. In my reading, actually, even your societies and trusts are slightly differently regulated than a Section 8 company. So a Section 8 company, to my mind, as long as the investment is aligned with its purpose, a Section 8 company can invest in any kind of security that it wants to, provided the company can justify that investment. Again, the principles that extend to a trust and a society in terms of deciding on these investments will also by inference extend to a Section 8 company.
Yeah, so the crux is that there is no restriction.
There
That's
is
what
no-
we again and again we are trying to highlight, that you can very well go and invest in better products. You don't have to stick to fixed deposits.
You don't have to. Explore it.
We have to explore those options. Now, sometimes trust deeds restrict you to invest. Model bylaws will be there in case of societies. Then they may specifically mention that you cannot do that. So please share with us. Can those be amended or not?
So in the case of a public charitable trust, if you're in Maharashtra and there is a restriction on investment, then the Maharashtra Act will supersede if you do a literal interpretation of the clause. As far as a private trust deed is concerned, the investment decisions will be dictated by what's written in the private trust deed. Can you amend a private trust deed? Yes, you can amend it. You will have to follow the procedure laid down in the private trust deed for an amendment. Now, if the private trust deed is silent on it, is not talking about an amendment, in that case, by inference, in my opinion, you can go to the court or you can get a consent from all the beneficiaries.
All right.
Whereas in Maharashtra, if you're a public charitable trust, then you can, if it's like a small minor change, you can you need to report these changes to a charity commissioner. Certain, if it's an administrative duty that's been given to a trustee, then the trustee can act according to the deed and make changes, etc. But if it's a core change to say the purpose of the trust, then naturally you will have to go to the courts and seek permission for that change.
Okay, and same happens in the case of societies also?
Yes, that's right.
Because I specifically want to talk about housing societies and resident welfare associations that we have in apartments. So committee members, they are flat owners, they create an association and then every year every month we pay maintenance fee, and that is how they collect their funds. So talking about them, those funds can also be put to better use, right?
Absolutely.
And if model bylaws don't allow you doing that,
but that will need some proactive action from the societies and the
that usually doesn't happen.
Well, you're creating the awareness, and that's how it begins.
Correct, truly, rightly said. Okay, and now talking about these charitable trusts hiring advisors, financial advisors. So usually committee members will have president, treasurer. There will be some maybe joint secretary, 4 or 5 posts, and all are pro bono posts. And usually people will have their primary job, day job, and that will be a side affair, taking care of that charitable trust. Could be or could not be. But they may not be investment professionals. So would you advise hiring professionals, and then in these cases
fee-based wealth managers would be a good idea.
But in these cases, I feel that they may do they pay salaries? Can they hire people?
Well, depends on how your trust is structured or how the society is structured. Your schools also are run under societies, and it really depends on the bylaws, and the teachers are paid, etc.
Okay, schools can also have societies structure.
That's right.
Okay,
that's right. So, there are certain trusts that I've worked with. The trusts pay out salaries to consultants, to professionals, and I see no reason why a fee structure cannot be worked out for a wealth manager. Traditionally, you're right, in a housing society, etc., it's usually the residents that are coming to play out their duties, and they are not really compensated for it, which again is, to my mind, it's like a disincentive. I think like there is not enough reason for them to like actually
put
work
in that
towards
effort, the time investment.
You have to incentivize these roles to actually get the best results. So to my mind, the whole practice of not incentivizing these roles needs to change when we are talking about public charitable.
But some people highlight that if you already have a day job, and then you cannot draw 2 salaries. So that is where challenge
Well, there is
comes.
no such restriction now. We are talking about this whole moonlighting. The world has changed. There are like people I know, they're doing like 3-4 jobs, and
That is there.
you can be laid off if you're just on one job. So now the
we
world,
have to have second plan.
you
B.
need to have like a couple of them if your organization allows it, and if you're being transparent with them.
Then
And
only
there
it
is
can
no
happen.
reason why these roles should not be incentivized.
Correct. And if this is the challenge, then very well hire an investment professional.
Absolutely.
Fee only investment professional, and you just have to pay some annual fixed fee to them,
Fixed fee.
and they'll do it for you, happily do it for you.
Yeah.
I know a lot of RIAs who have tried to get into it, but again, the change of mindset needed from committee members, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So would you like to share some experience
I'd
of
like
the
to,
governance
I would
structure
not
in
like
these?
to go into like any specific examples, but what I have noticed in my practice as a lawyer, while reviewing trust deeds, be it for private trusts or be it for public charitable trusts. Now, what is a trust deed? It's really a governance structure. And what I've noticed is that in practice, many a times the documents that are being used are not very clear. They're not really defining all the roles and responsibilities of all the characters in the story of that trust very clearly. So I feel that leads to, in many cases, sometimes mismanagement and sometimes just, there is a lack of proactive approach. And so I feel if the trust deeds are more clearly drafted, where like thinking has been done in different layers, the duties are laid down, there is no cross-reference of other policies and other bylaws which will never get drafted, actually. Do it while you're drafting the trust deed. Finish it there. Don't procrastinate about it. Make a tight framework and keep revisiting it whenever you need to. I feel that will lead to better governance, and yes, there is like a governance problem, not just in these kind of organizations, but organizations across our country.
True.
And the problem is the same. The governance structure, which is a framework, documents are not very clear, and they are not regularly revised. And
so, have you observing change in this space? Are there trusts who are trying to proactively approach advisors?
You're talking about it in the product that we are building. In fact, we've built like a trust management system where we have actually deployed all of these ideas that we are discussing. We are creating like tighter trust management structures.
Right.
It's bound to happen,
True. Any last word for people watching this video and who are associated with these kind of trusts or clubs?
I feel that everyone should explore whatever avenues are available. And one should try to push the boundaries always. And let's just create more value wherever we can. However, don't make risky investments. Read through the documents thoroughly. Ask the right questions. And where you need to take a chance, take a chance. And where you need to take approvals, take the approvals,
True. So what I feel is that if you have a large amount pool of funds with you, then you can define that this is for short-term goals and this amount is meant for long-term goals. And that long-term money can very well be put in instruments getting higher yield compared to short-term, could very well be in FDs also. That is how the way we approach our own personal investments, that is the way to go about for these trusts and clubs also.
Absolutely. It's in fact your duty to do it.
Exactly. It's not that if you're investing in a profitable instrument doesn't mean that your purpose is not aligned with the profits that you are earning. It's not the case. The very motive of you being committee member is that you get that value. You have to unlock value of funds that are there with you.
Absolutely.
So that's important.
Absolutely.
On that note, let's wrap up this session.
Thank you,
I'm really glad to have you here. And
pleasure to be here. It was a great chat.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
I hope you liked the episode today. I am available on X by my handle _Sharma, and you can also look for my name on LinkedIn, which is Aprajita Sharma, and you'll be able to find my profile. For more such interesting podcasts, keep tuning into stsmartcast.com. Thank you.
To stay updated on this podcast, follow us at HT Smartcast on all the major social media platforms. To listen to more such podcasts, log on to www.htsmartcast.com.
The living room is where you make life's most beautiful memories. But your sofa shouldn't be the one remembering them. The new life-resistant, high-performance furniture collection from Ashley is designed to withstand all the spills, slip-ups, and muddy paws that come with the best parts of life. Ashley high-performance sofas and recliners are soft, on-trend, and easy to clean. Shop the high-performance furniture in-store or online at ashley.com. Ashley, for the love of home.